Hello everyone and welcome back to Make Your Mind. This is the latest of my SCP-based sculpture showcases. And this one is another favorite. This is another humanoid SCP, but one that is... I would have to say this one, besides 173 and 106 and 682, this one has to be one of the most famous SCPs of all time, because everyone who has encountered this SCP, they never forget what happens when this SCP begins to pursue them. We're going to be talking about the long, pale, and shy guy that is known as SCP-096. Here he is. This is my depiction of SCP-096. As you can see, he's got the long arms. The arms that have this red tint. These long fingers and these hands that stretch stretch all the way past its kneecaps. And SCP-096 is shy. It doesn't want to be looked at. That's why it's known as the Shy Guy. But here's a little description of SCP-096. It is a humanoid creature measuring approximately 2.38 meters in height. Subject shows very little muscle mass, with preliminary analysis of body mass suggesting mild malnutrition. It took me a minute to say that. Arms are grossly out of proportion with the rest of the subject's body, with an approximate length of 1.5 meters. Look at that. So the arms are very long. Skin is mostly devoid of pigmentation with no sign of any body hair, so it's completely bald. SCP-096's jaw can open 4 times its normal size. Other facial features remain similar to an average human, with the exception of the eyes, which are also devoid of pigmentation. They are completely whited. It's a complete whiteout for his eyes. They are completely whited out. There we go, bend his head back. SCP-096 is normally extremely docile, and that's one of the reasons why this SCP is considered a Euclid. It's classified as a Euclid. With pressure sensors inside its cell indicating it spends most of the day pacing by the eastern wall. However, when someone views SCP-096's face, whether it be directly via video recording or even a photograph, that's what would be so crazy. If it was a photograph... Man, that thing would be so crazy. I'm just reading part of it here. So yeah, apparently if you see a photograph of 096, it will still pursue you, even if you don't look at its face directly. Wow. That's terrifying. It will enter a stage of considerable emotional distress. SCP-096 will cover its face with its hands and begin screaming, crying and babbling incoherently. Approximately 1 or 2 minutes after the first viewing, SCP-096 will begin running to the person who viewed its face, who will from this point on be referred to as SCP-096-1. So anyone who is targeted by 096 gets a classification. Whether it be TAC 1 all the way up to whichever number it would be. Documented speeds have varied from 35 kilometers an hour to redacted kilometers an hour, and seems to depend on distance from SCP-096-1. At this point, no known material or method can impede SCP-096's progress. The actual position of SCP-096 does not deem to affect... the actual position of the victim, SCP-096 TAC-1, does not seem to affect SCP-096's response. It seems to have an innate sense where the victim's location is. Note, the reaction does not occur when viewing artistic depictions. Oh, so it has to be a physical photograph. So by looking at this face, SCP-096 will not attack you. So don't worry, viewers. You guys are safe. I actually find that very, very fascinating. Here, let me bend his elbow a little bit. There we go. Upon arrival of SCP-096 TAC-1, the victim's location, SCP-096 will proceed to eliminate and data expunge the victim. They redacted it. 100% of the cases have left no traces of the victim. SCP-096 will then sit down for several minutes before regaining its composure and becoming docile once again. So it has to be provoked by staring at its face. If you see it walking around like this, and you look at it, as long as you don't see its face, you're still fine, but make sure you turn away, especially when you're playing the game, of course. Due to the possibility of a mass chain reaction, including breach of Foundation secrecy or large civilian loss of life, retrieval of subject should be considered alpha priority. So if this creature was to break containment, the SCP Foundation would basically make 096 priority 1, which I don't know if that's the biggest priority, because I think a bigger priority would actually be SCP-682, because 682 could literally just end everything. But SCP-096, the shy guy. If I'm not mistaken, I think 096 may even have its own game. But this creature is essentially unstoppable. And when you're in the game, SCP-096 will hunt you down relentlessly until it takes you out. That's only if you've seen its face, or a photograph of its face. Man, what a crazy thing, huh? And the Shy Guy has been probably one of the scarier and one of the most unstoppable of all the SCPs. There's a lot of SCPs that are like that, man. The ones that are unstoppable. I mean, you've got, with along that, you've also got 09. You got 106 right here. Couldn't imagine what would happen if 096 and 106 came together. Imagine him catching 096 and bringing him into a pocket dimension. That would be kind of crazy. Here, I'll put 106 back there. But then again, you know, the one SCP, I could not imagine what would happen if it was SCP-096 versus SCP-173. What in the world would happen there? Because SCP-173 has to be stared at all times. And SCP-096, you're not supposed to stare at it. So SCP, I wonder which one would actually win. I bet 173 would win. But then again, I don't know if there's any way to actually eliminate 096. I have no idea. But that would just be an interesting fight. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Which one do you think would win in a fight? 173 or 096? I think that would be an interesting discussion. But with that go ahead and that concludes this video. Sorry, I just stuttered a little bit. If you like this content, don't forget to leave a like down below, and remember to subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications, so you never miss the next video. And don't worry, as long as you see this face, SCP-096 will not come for you. So with that, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see all of you on the next Sculpture Showcase.